Hey everybody, this is Townsend. I'm a singer, songwriter, musician, and mental health advocate, and I started the You're Not Alone project and podcast to help educate, spread awareness, and simply help you feel a little less alone, no matter what you're going through. Thank you so much for tuning in to Season 2 of You're Not Alone with Townsend. Be sure to click the follow button and share these stories. You can also watch the interviews on our YouTube under Townsendtmusic. You can also keep up with the journey if you follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Townsendtmusic. Every like, follow, and share helps us continue to change lives. What is up, everybody? This is Townsend. Thank you so much for tuning in to You're Not Alone with Townsend. Today, I've got a super special guest. So I actually found this guy on social media. A lot of people hit me up and were like, you need to follow Harpy Daniel as his social media account. And so I was watching it and instantly fell in love. So I now follow all of his accounts because it's amazing. It just really helps show and shine light on positivity and equality. So without giving too much away, we'll go ahead and introduce you. So his real name is Joshua Kelley. He serves in the Navy, but he does something really unique and original, which is performs in drag, which I am just so blown away by. Like, you have made so many leaps and bounds and are making waves in the service. And I'm just stoked you're here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm over here smiling like an
I know.
idiot. This is so nice. Thank you. Thank you so
I
much.
listen, Josh, I want to be your best friend. Okay. You're like the cutest little thing and you're just so sweet. Can we be best
Um,
friends?
oh, absolutely. I'm always welcome to more closer friends. I need them. Trust
Done.
me.
I love it. Okay, well, I'm going to let you introduce yourself. So, who is Josh? What is your ranking? Where are you located if you're able to spill that?
Yeah, I can give like the minimal details. So, my name is Joshua Kelly, which it's with an extra E if you need to spell it out. That's like the biggest thing I always love to say because people do the Y regular Kelly. I'm like, no, I'm extra. Throw it in there.
Okay,
I'm
noted.
I'm a small town like person. Like I'm from a very rural area of Pennsylvania originally. So like a lot of people who meet me know I have like a big personality. A lot of people think I'm from a city. I'm like, nope, I'm from a very like borough, a very small town in Pennsylvania, basically, where everyone chews tobacco.
I'm from a
and
borough with tobacco.
very that and veterans galore, and a lot of veterans actually where I'm from. My dad's a vet too.
Wow.
And I'm stationed now currently in Virginia. I'm actually about to finish that up and head over to Spain, and I'm so excited for that tour. I've served for about 7 years now, and I don't know if I'm making a career. I know it's like almost that halfway point if I want to retire. It's just it is a lot, but I'm kind of just going with the experience, and the experience has just been phenomenal. So, and I do administration. So if anyone's like thinking I'm with a gun, I mean, we're all trained professionally for what we do. We do security. We all have to be sailors at the beginning, but my main job is just doing administration to take care of my command, my people, my sailors, and make sure that they're not stressing over honestly any paperwork.
Wow. Okay, that is too cool. I am so intrigued. Okay, one, this guy gets to travel the world. And two, we hopped on and he's like, I served for 7 years. I was like, no shot, because you're like 20, but whatever. That's amazing. So cool. So from Pennsylvania, I honestly don't know anything about Pennsylvania except one time I was on tour doing music. I took a wrong turn and somehow ended up in Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Hershey, I love
Yeah.
Hershey. That's like my
And I
old
was
stomping ground.
I thought it was a joke. All these signs were talking about Hershey and it's a real place.
Yeah, it's a and one of the it was probably the first amusement park I went was Hershey Park down there. It was probably the first when I was like 6 years old. And went on my first roller coaster. Came out crying, of course.
Yeah, of course.
but
Yeah.
now it's like a long time thing when I go up there. I performed in a band in high school in Hershey. Like it was an amazing time. It was one of our bigger cities where I'm from. It's where we would go hang out.
Well, I can officially say I ate Taco Bell in the middle of the night at Hershey, Pennsylvania.
That's what you do. That's all we
That's
do.
it. That is as wild as we got, and it was an accident, but I can say I've been there.
Hey, if it's not that, you're just doing Walmart at midnight. That's our all the other cool.
That is what yeah. So I am also from the borough with tobacco, and Walmart's where it's at. So,
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
yeah. So, okay, Josh, so you've recently gained a ton of attention, excuse me, regarding serving in the military, but also participating in drag, which just Man, I saw it, and like I said, I fell in love because you're all about, like, just sharing equality and love, and you give off this persona, which may totally be for social media, but it's like, whatever. Like, I am what I am and no regrets, and I just love that so much. I envy that, and I wish, of course, I could be more like that. So when did you begin performing in drag shows? Like, when did you start doing all of that? I want to personally thank you for taking the time to listen to these conversations. It truly means so much. We've changed so many lives for the better, and we want to continue doing so throughout 2023. This project is made possible by sponsors and patrons. So if you'd like to help keep the You're Not Alone project going and hearing these amazing stories, we would love for you to join the family at patreon.com/TownsendTmusic. Just for signing up, you'll get free merch, discounts, and behind the scenes patron only footage. Not only of my music, but of each episode. That's right, so each guest on every episode answers a few more questions that only patrons will be able to watch and listen to. So head on over to patreon.com/TownsendTmusic and let's continue changing lives.
So I actually started when in 2013. I was 19. I technically around 16. I found RuPaul's Drag Race. It was season 2. Like the lighting was bad. Nobody knew what it
Ugh,
was. My
done.
dad just downloaded Logo from DirecTV, and I'm like, "What's this?" And of course, my dad doesn't know he got the gay network. And from 16 to 19, I was like, practice like makeup terribly. Would get heels, used to paint my nails and stuff. And at 19, I just said, forget it. I'm gonna go out there and just kind of rip off the band-aid and do it. And it was the most terrifying experience of my life because I found not every drag queen is nice like they're supposed to be on TV.
Yeah, I could not imagine.
It was, yeah, it's scariest, but it was one of the most incredible moments because I won't lie, when you know you're good from the start, everyone like low key will hype you up, but when you get past that barrier and everyone still like kind of doesn't like you, you know
Yeah.
you're actually doing it very well.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I've met several drag queens and kings, and they are the nicest people I've ever met.
Absolutely. So I'll say 50-50. I think it
You
should be
think
your job.
so?
Yeah, I think it should be so. Like, I'll meet so professionally. Like, I'll get queens who don't want to be personal, which I get that because at the end of the day,
Yeah,
like when you start doing it, drag's a business. I've been doing drag
yeah,
longer than the Navy now, 10 years. So I've met so many great drag queens. 9 times out of 10, we are nice.
yeah,
But I think it's a lot have this chip on their shoulder because it's competitive. Like at the end of the day, it's like any
yeah,
job. You know, we need to be good as just the next person. So it's like a 50-50 for me. If we're not in a competing moment, we're good. If we're in a
yeah.
competing moment, it's like I'm gonna hate you now, sis, and we'll throw shade. But then when we're done, we'll come back and love each other.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe they're nice to, like, the audience because we give them money.
You give us money.
There you go. Done, done, done. We don't see the shady behind the scenes. Okay, so you've been doing it for a while. You know, this is gonna sound insane, but I didn't even think about it being a business. Like, it just looks like y'all are having so much fun, and it looks like a passion, and you get up there, but I guess it's just like me playing music. It looks
Yeah.
like fun and a passion, but man, you work your tail off to be the best you can.
Yeah, it's at the end of the day, like if you can't sell yourself, you shouldn't do drag. You shouldn't do any form of entertainment. Like as you know, as an entertainer yourself,
Yeah.
like you have to it's not just your art you're putting into, it's then when you start creating that fan base and people see you, you have to start honing in on a character. Now some people can be kind of that cattiness in
Yeah.
drag and some people eat that up and they love it. I chose to be myself, which is
Yeah.
nice. I swear it's not an act, but when you start honing in and knowing who you are in and out of drag, you have to build that presentation, like you said. And as an
Yeah.
entertainer, it's the same thing like anything else. Drag is a form of entertainment.
Yeah. I love it. Y'all put so much out there. It's so amazing to see it. The craziest part, I have seen full bearded, which I think you posted like a little TikTok of this, but you had like a beard, like stubble, and you were just in your uniform, and then all of a sudden you're like, and it's full face of makeup, and you look like this beautiful woman, and people are like, "Oh my gosh, where's the beard?" And you're like, "I shaved it," but it
Yeah,
looks so like I
there.
shaved it. There's a razor, but it's so crazy to see that transition. It's such a talent that I don't think people give enough recognition to, but so you were talking about you've been doing it for like 10 years now. When did you first realize, like, I guess you said the first show, you were like, okay, I kind of got a knack for this.
Yeah, it's crazy because like I honestly, even when I started drag, I had doubts where I'm like, I don't want to do this no more. I don't think I can do this anymore. I
Yeah.
mean, I won my first crown in Harrisburg, PA, as Miss Gay Harrisburg of the American System pageant. And after I got the crown, I actually sat in my car and said, I don't want to do this anymore. Because I just the competition, I was just like, it's no longer fun.
Right.
And then I took a break, and that's actually about a year, 6 months after that, I joined the Navy, and then I needed it. It was like because that first year in the Navy, I did not do drag for like almost a year and a half when I first joined. I didn't do drag. I was learning to be a sailor, and after kind of getting back into it, I kind of almost refound my love in drag again because of the Navy. Once the
Yeah.
article dropped and I was performed on the ship and everything, like it it I found my spark, I found my passion, I found the love, and I saw it change so many people's minds that I was like, I'm gonna stick to it, and I did ever since.
That is amazing. So, how did the Navy respond to that? Like, I also want to know, one, we'll break it into two. How did they respond? And two, did you have to get permission to do something like that? That seems so like out of the norm when you think about servicemen in the Navy.
It kind of is two. It's like two worlds put together. That's like
Yeah.
the best thing example because you're right. They are kind of like night and day on the stereotypes we have on
Right.
each one and how people are with them. But for me, I will say all of this is my own experience. So anything I say, it's not on behalf of the service, of course, but just through my experience, everyone has been very to my face, I should say,
Yeah.
loving and welcoming, accepting. I have people to this day who I would sit there in uniform, like, oh, these drag queens, this and that. And I'd be like, have you ever met one before? And they're like, no. I'm like, well, now you
You're
have.
like,
And like,
hi.
yeah. And I've invited sailors out to a show, and I'm like, come just check it out. Like, come see a drag brunch I do. And they come out and they're like, I'll never forget this. One of he's about to separate and retire this February, so he's on terminal leave. Lucky him. And my friend Ray, he's never been to a drag show, but supporter, loves me, loves everything that I do. He's just a caring person. He came out to a drag show, saw it for the first time, looked at me and like cried and goes, I didn't know that this is what drag was. This was truly beautiful to just see you in so much confidence and radiating so much positivity to people. And
Wow.
he's an introvert too, so like he
Yeah.
barely talks.
Yeah.
And I'm just and since then he's come to almost every show, and it's changed so much people of the Navy. And plus the Navy's had drag queens since World War II. Like we've been having drag queens even back then. There's like a whole historical moment about it.
What? Okay, we need educated because I had
Yeah.
no idea.
So,
I
yeah,
guess
so
we didn't, it's just not been on blast like social media.
yeah, well, I mean, then again, back then, like the internet was just being made too. So, but
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's they used to do like a lot. Well, honestly, I hate to say it during like the times of hazing, and
Sure.
they're all men. You know how they're boys will
Yeah.
be boys, as they say. So they always
Bosh.
want to feel the dumbest stuff ever. So
Yeah.
they used to do beauty pageants on ships and just take old fishnets and stuff and crossing the line ceremonies back in those days. They're not the way they are now. I can't
Sure.
speak on them, but
Right.
back in those days, they did used to do stuff like that, and they loved it. They had fun, and no one really cared. You know, it
Yeah.
was kind of a way that gay people back then could even express themselves without being outed too.
Yeah.
So I
That
wouldn't
is
doubt that a
so
gay man
interesting.
created drag queens back in World War II,
Oh,
for sure.
absolutely. They were like, this is for hazing.
Yeah, they're like,
Yeah.
this is just for
Yeah,
entertainment. We're all in
exactly.
this together.
Exactly. But really, I love these pantyhose, and I'm not gonna take them off. They're gonna be
No,
under
no,
my pants. Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
So it's been around for a while, but for
yeah.
you, you know, I saw your pictures and your articles, and like you're putting on these big shows for the shipmates and things like that. Did you have to get permission to do your show, or was it like,
So
sure, whatever?
so the original show that I did when I performed on the ship was actually already a sponsored MWR event. It was actually just a lip sync competition.
Yeah,
And what do drag queens do best? Old faithful lip syncing.
that's it.
So I knew the lip sync was coming up because it was something they did annually. It was one of the biggest events. Like I've seen all the spectrums of people come out to watch this, to perform in it. There's actually some really great acts. Even like I got second place. That's how great.
What?
Yeah, yeah. I didn't even get
What?
first. I got second place on it. It was
Stop the
yeah,
show right now.
right. But I was the only one who did full drag, and because I brought my wig on, I brought some stuff because I didn't have a lot at the time, and it was in 2018, and then after I got done, it was a standing ovation. My command came up to me. I had people come out, like literally, like I came out to my parents because of you. And even there was this one sailor that after that night came up to me and said, "You saved my life." He was days away from his husband, and deployment really brings morale low.
Yeah.
It's very high stressful. Even for me, like I know I seem nice. I'm a monster on the ship.
Yeah.
On deployment, I'm a monster. Don't talk to me. I don't want to see you. I don't want to hear you.
All your
You
all
know,
your like shipmates are like, he's the worst.
right? Like, don't talk. Don't. If it's 2 weeks in, don't talk. Like, just
Yeah.
go. But no, we all go through our struggles, and someone came down and said, "You saved me. Like, I needed this lifting up. Like, I really didn't know if I was going to make it, and he really needed to unalive himself." And because of it, he literally said, "I feel comfortable to be myself again." He called his husband when he got back. He said, "I got my gay experience back." Because as queer people, we, especially when you're more of a feminine queer people in culture like myself, like I'm very like all of. I mean, I'm wearing my support LGBT military shirt already.
Yeah.
um, there's as I embrace femininity, I embrace expression, and it's very hard to not get that when you're in high intense areas that is a very masculinized cultured place,
Yeah.
like the military. And it's changing. It really is changing. We are right in the depths of it changing, and it's a beautiful sight. It's rough, but we are getting there. And from my experience, I'm seeing the change, like from when I first joined 7 years ago to now. There's been a massive change of simios, which is equal opportunities and stuff happening. And we have our code of ethics now saying that we will listen to our junior sailors, we will listen to people. Like mental health is important. It's so beautiful to see that change now happening. I kind of happen like just fitting the perfect situation for it to now kind of, I don't want to say acceptance, but to be seen and accepted. It's the perfect time for a visualization.
Yeah. I love that so much. I had last year I interviewed, let me think. So he was in the service. He was super high up, and we talked about mental health and the things that I read online talk about. Like, it still talks about how mental health, basically, if you have certain diagnosis, you can't talk about it. It's not addressed. Blah blah blah. It just has a terrible. Just nobody wants to talk about it. Sweep it under the rug.
Like a bad stigma about it. Yeah.
Exactly. And just ignore it. Just act like it doesn't exist. But he eased my mind because he was saying, he was in the midst of seeing the transition and seeing it get better. And it really wasn't as bad as it used to be in the past. And they were showing improvements every year, and how excited he was to do that. So that is so reassuring to hear yet another one talk about that. That's amazing.
Absolutely, it's a blessing. I mean, like suicide is one of our highest deaths in the service, to be honest. Unfortunately, um, I even lost a few shipmates myself through suicide already, and I've only been in for 7 years. And it is
Wow.
scary, and it's a lot. But I'm happy that now, exactly as the other gentleman mentioned, like it's changing for sure. And the stigma, that's the biggest part. We're trying to break that stigma, saying you can go to mental health. We want you to go to mental health. They have resources online for one source military to even just get a counselor, a non-medical counselor, just to talk to somebody. Like, so a lot is changing, and I even go myself.
Yeah. I
I have a therapist myself. There's times, especially the closer now I'm about to go back out deployment, I know I'm going to need those tools they give me to, reassure myself. Because the higher ranking I go, the more responsibilities, the more stressful it honestly really gets.
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like everyone could benefit from having someone to talk to, especially a professional counselor from an outsider's point of view. Just give it to you
Absolutely.
straight.
Absolutely. I mean, and plus, I think it gives my best friend some time to also not have to hear about it.
Exactly.
It gives
Exactly.
them a break.
All the best friends are like, whoo, yes, please go see someone
Please
else.
go.
Yeah.
I, I'm like, I can't drink this week. Thank you.
I
Yeah.
Until you start paying me hourly, I've got to check out of this. Okay,
Yeah.
so the feedback has been amazing. Let's stay on the mental health track. So how has the feedback since you've done drag affected your mental health? So
Ah,
let's say you started drag in the Navy. People were super positive, the feedback was positive. How does that affect your mental health, being able to do two things that you enjoy?
well, what I'll say this is, so the feedback in person's been great. I've had a lot of actual bad feedback online.
Yeah. Oh, I can only imagine.
Every online troll you could imagine saying the most absurd thing. Usually, honestly, it's people who never served a day in
Of
their life,
course. Oh, of
or
course.
you do some guys still get those salty older, like back in my days and stuff like that. And now and then I do now and then just like a small one or two I've seen active members be negative, but it's more of a uneducation. Like they're
Yeah.
just very uneducated. So I always use that as a tool to like, hey, you're saying these things because it was brought on by somebody else who had a feeling. So let's, break it down. But based off my mental health, because if you want, we can go into the negative later. My mental health fluctuates. I'm gonna say that because
Sure.
it is stressful to be in the spotlight, and because I didn't think this was honestly when I did drag and the article came out, I didn't leak it. Somebody got released by somebody, and the next thing I know, I get a message in 2018 saying, "Hey, NBC is going to contact you." Navy
Right.
Times is going to contact you, and then even to this day, all the way now until 2023, I just did a entire article last October with the USS Constitution about drag in the service. So like it's just followed me since, and it's been progressing.
Wow.
And that online has been building, and people are really watching. And my mental health is stressful because I do have to sit there before I speak. Like some people are like, why don't you speak on this half? I'm like, well, I'm still a sailor, so I can't get into political views really for myself, but also at the same time too, I have to now kind of watch what I say and do just to a certain point. There's a finesse like anything when you're in the spotlight because when I talk to my friends, it's not always how I speak online. Like when I speak
Yeah.
online, I want to make sure I get the point across. There's a purpose, there's an action, there's, the impact behind it. So it can be kind of stressful. I've had a few talks where I've had mentors and public affairs officers saying, like, you didn't do anything wrong, but here's what we can build. And I'll sit there and like, oh my God, what did I say this time? And it's like, you
Yeah.
didn't say anything wrong. It's just, let's work on it. Let's grow. Let's build what you said, increase your vocabulary.
Yeah.
And it can be kind of stressful to know that though it feels like there's a giant weight that there's not been openly visually another queer sailor doing what I'm doing. Now they are. I've met plenty of amazing people
Sure. Sure.
that are within the community that do more than just drag, that are just even just openly queer, lesbian or gay, even trans members. That my heart goes out to trans members for sure, because that is still a struggle for them just now being able to come back out in January 2021.
Wow.
Um, so my mental health fluctuates. Some days I'm good, some days I'm bad. I'm more good days than bad days, of course.
Yeah.
But the pressure has gotten to me. I've had to sit down and in my chain of command, I remember even my CO one day came in and she sat me down and she's like, "Are you okay?" Because they
Wow.
do have to do what I do online. And I'm just like, no, but I will be. Thank you for asking. And let's talk about it. And we talk about it a few minutes, and then I go on my way. And I sit there and I'm thinking, like, I'm very blessed to have that support. Like, I really am. And I just hope it always hurts when I hear a lot of people don't have that support, depending where they're at, man, because it is, the Navy's very diverse, including the forms of how we lead our people. And
Yeah.
I only have ever blessed, and I hope to continue to have a very blessed experience because not
Yeah.
everyone has had that. So my mental health, I would give it like a good okay,
A good
a good okay.
solid 5 out of 10.
Yeah,
I think I that is just an honest answer. I think anyone living, all humans would say the same thing. We're gonna have bad days. We're gonna have good days. We're gonna have amazing days. We're gonna have days where we're like, what is the point? Why am I here? And I think
yeah,
that's okay as long as you know how to handle it. I love that you were seeking counsel and that you were doing therapy while you're there. That's amazing. What does self-care look like for you? So other than just talking to a therapist, how do you handle those days where it's not good?
yeah. No, I think that's great too because I definitely know when it comes to self care, it's definitely more than talk. Talking just helps bring me down, but to keep me at like a calming, beautiful level, it's really it's honestly, it's gonna sound a little crazy, but kind of a little bit of discipline.
Okay.
um, it's kind of a little bit of discipline for myself. It's getting up to know that, like, hey, you need to go take a shower today. Make your bed. The small things. If I had made my own cup of coffee instead of going to Starbucks, which nothing wrong with, but I bought all this coffee. And I'm like, I never drink it, so making a cup of coffee, sitting here, listening to some soft music. I'm very a Zen peace kind of person, to be
Yeah. I
honest. Like
love it. I love it.
as much as I'm like extrovert, when I don't have time, when I can shut off the entertainment and just be me and watch some anime, be my nerdy quirky self, see some, scroll through TikTok. Honestly, horror document series are my favorite.
Yeah, there you
So
go.
I'll watch
Okay.
those, and like just doing small stuff like that, going to the gym definitely has helped. There's days I remember when I like didn't go to the gym almost all 2020. There's this the pandemic, everything was going crazy. And I remember that when I went back to the gym finally, I was like, oh, I feel so much better already. It's just
Yeah.
and I don't do an intense workout. I do it just enough to make myself, feel beautiful, feel loved. And it's just those small things that you kind of have to push yourself to do. And when you can sit there instead of just saying, let me do all these things, when you just pick that one thing you want to do and you do it, it makes you feel already better. And once you start getting to a habit, it really does start to build because it's easy to, sink back in and
Mhm.
just do nothing and want to close up. Trust me, I'm notorious. Like when I had went through my worst streak ever, I was like in bed. Everything was just all cluttered. Not hoarders. I can't do hoarders, but I definitely had all my stuff everywhere. Nothing was put away. Nothing was organized. I'm a very organized person. So
Yeah.
my friend's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm not." And then when I started putting stuff away and then going out just on a walk or just
Yeah.
sitting on my porch, breathing new air, I noticed that like I feel better, I feel great. I'm not overthinking as many
Yeah.
things. And I think that's the hardest person on ourselves is that a lot of people struggle with mental health. It's because we put the pressure on of what's happening around us in the world and telling ourselves people are thinking these ways and maybe you have someone has said something and it's we have to understand that we only can do what's within our range, with our grasp. When we have our own expectations, leave them as your own expectations. Don't worry
Yes.
about everyone else. And that's eventually what I started to do. And my only guilty pleasure is honestly going to the movie theaters. I go to the movie theaters way too much.
I
Movie theater
love that.
popcorn, sitting there enjoying
Yes.
myself. I don't
Mm.
even care what the movie is half the time. I just enjoy it. It's one of my guilty pleasures. I definitely do.
That is so interesting. Okay. People never go to the movie theater anymore because you can just get it at home.
See, and that's what I love. Continue to stay home because then I have all the seats to
Continue.
myself.
Everyone, the movie theater's the worst. Don't go
Don't
because I want to
go.
go by myself. Yeah. I 100% would drive an hour just for movie popcorn.
Yeah, it's so good,
100%.
so
Yes, it
good,
is
and
so
when
good.
that and when I
Like
have
I
the
may
seats
go get
available,
some after this.
you should.
I love that. Okay, so what made you take that huge leap to start performing once being in the service? So you said you went a year and you were like, you didn't really do it during that year. And then you were just kind of like, okay, I'm going to do this talent show. But what made you be like, okay, drag, that's what I want to do. This is it.
Let's do drag during the lip sync.
Let's do it.
It's like so any entertainer, even such as yourself, you have that itch, and like
Yeah.
it's so hard to express like what that feeling is. It's like you just know you need to entertain. It's something like inside your soul that just eats you up because you're just like when I got done, like I remember I didn't go down there. When I went on the mess decks to perform in drag, I didn't think of anyone else, but honestly
Yeah.
myself. Like I'm like, this is for me. This is for me to express myself through my art, through my talent. It was for me to just release everything that I had inside of me, joy, hate, put it out there, be the pop star I've always wanted to be and love to be. And it just kind of like I think after that, after doing it for those first couple 3 to 4 years and then taking that break, it was like part of me was missing and that
Yeah.
was it. And finally, after almost a year and a half, I would say, something inside me kind of just said, this is your chance, take it. I don't know how else to describe it. It's just said it was this moment in time. It's like everything stopped. It's like
Yeah.
you could see everything ahead of you and saying, you ask the universe saying, I want to do drag, and the universe like, I'll give you this one day, this
Yeah.
one, this
It's like
one 5 minute spot.
drag,
Yeah.
drag, don't drag.
And it's like that, and you see it, and I'm like, this is that opportunity, and I did it, and I did have to get permission, of course, on like my look and my
Yeah.
music choice. Everyone had to get permission on like what they did,
Gotcha.
but overall, though, it just clicked, like, and then after I did it, it was like a high, like, I would just, like,
Yeah.
you made somebody else feel good as like, any entertainers, when you get that feedback and it's positive, you kinda want more. I
Yeah.
won't
It's
lie, I'm
addictive.
selfish, man, when I get it,
I'm
I keep it
selfish.
coming. I'd say that's the only time I'm selfish. When you wanna
Yeah.
love what I do and it makes you happy, I want you to continue to feel happy and tell me about it because I think it's the best experience ever. Because I won't lie, probably the first time I had a sailor hit me up and they said, hey, I'm thinking of joining the Navy because of you. And like they're talking to me and idolizing me. I'm sitting here, I'm like, is this what it feels like to be the opposite end when you meet your like hero?
Yeah.
They joined the service. They came here to Virginia. They met me on a night I went out in town. Like I was just in town after a show. I just went out. We grabbed a couple drinks with some friends. They
Right.
came up to me and they said, I won't say their name, but they're like, well, I'll use, let's say John. We'll say John came up to me and John's like, it's me, John. And of course, I'm like, oh, hi, John.
Yeah.
Like,
Hey.
yeah,
Yeah.
hey, honey, how are you? Like, and he goes, no, John from Instagram. And he pulled it up and he showed like all the messages, like where he's talking to me, like when I hit him up on boot camp, giving him advice in A
Yeah.
school. And he goes, it was like a full circle moment from someone who literally joined. They said because of me, and then I met them, and
Whoa.
it was like a full circle moment. I'm like, wow, you really don't know how impactful you are to people. And I was very blessed to able to have to see that. Like I was
Yeah.
able, so happy to see it because a lot of the time when things are going for you, you don't really get to see that feedback. It's like everyone's saying you're doing great, and I'm over here. I'm like, I don't, I don't normally pay attention to too much of this stuff. I'm just doing me, so it's so good to see that. And it was like a full circle moment. I hugged him. We cried a little bit.
I
Like
love it.
it was just a beautiful moment, and I was so happy to see that I could impact somebody like that so deeply, and it just I want to continue. Especially the story of theirs is that queer people can be in the service. We can be
Yeah.
active members. We can do this. The military is can take anybody, and as long as you pass the physical and you pass all the medical stuff, there's no reason why you can't serve. And I think that's the perspective that I'm happy that I'm changing, and I'm not alone either. Like the big tribute and shout I love to give is that if anything, me doing drag in the service is just a tribute to all the service members who couldn't be themselves.
Yeah.
Because Don't Ask, Don't Tell was only 11 years ago, almost 12 years ago now.
Exactly.
And I still to this day just met a vet who served during that time, 20 years in the Army. And I met him over New Year's during one of my shows. And he said, thank you for being out and open. He goes, even after Don't Ask, Don't Tell came, because he retired in 2017, he said after, he goes, I still wasn't out even after Donas Hotel was removed. And I was like, wow. So he's like, thank you for doing what you do. And I wouldn't be here without the people who fought for me.
I definitely feel like your story's changing lives. And like I said, from the moment I saw your story on social media, I was like, oh my gosh, I just love it. And I know you're going to get those trolls that get on there and say those things, but I think the majority of people would say, even if they themselves don't perform in drag, if you take a big picture, like step back and look at the big picture, the effect you are making is so amazing. I mean, it's just like that guy coming up and saying, man, I couldn't even come out because of, you weren't allowed to talk about it. And just
Yeah.
because you're doing these things, it like lets people feel more comfortable. It has people joining the service. It has people outside the service talking about it. It's just making it more of a norm, making people feel more of themselves. And man, what a blessing. How cool to be part of that movement.
I count my blessings every day because I never in a million years would have thought I would be where I am today. I used to actually be very anti-military, actually.
What? You
So
should not say that.
yeah,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
like I shouldn't say anti-military. I just didn't care for it. Like I grew up with a father who was in for like 24 years, so you hear the old Steve stories, and I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
Dad, cool, all
Yeah.
right. And I just yeah, like whatever. I'm not gonna do that. Who wants to do that? And then honestly, I did, and I didn't ever think to this day that I could join those two so polar opposite worlds together. And I think if anything, and it's crazy because I've met so many people. That's the big assumption is like, even though we wear a uniform and we are here to serve and protect and do what we're supposed to do, we are still human beings. Like we
Yeah.
still have lives. Like, we have families, we have loved ones, we have people amongst the world. Where the military is the number one diverse place you could work in the entire world. Like
Wow.
it is like we have people of all colors, people of all backgrounds, people of all gender, people of everything you can think of. Just we're all brought together,
Yeah.
you know, and no other job will give you that. That's why diversity really is one of our biggest strengths in the service, and this is why we're so strong. Is because we have that viewpoint from like when I go into the office and stuff. I'm not thinking the same way these other people are. And actually, I surprised a lot of people. Like we do have to do certain ceremonies and stuff, part of my job and everything. And I know when we have to do huge setups for officers and admirals and such, I definitely go in there and people are shocked to know that I can run a whole event on my own. And it's just because drag gave me that experience. It's just in a different color. It's different
Yeah.
view. And that reminds me actually, one of my favorite comparisons of the how similar drag and the Navy really are. Because drag is more than just going out there. When you do a pageant, they're so intense. They really are.
Yeah.
And I love to compare a pageant to a review board or a Sailor of the Year board because you both have your questioning and answering. You have to go with your sharpest suit and your uniform and look the cleanest. The same thing with drag. You have to go the most glam, everything put together. You get asked questions about historical stuff, why you feel you're the best. The same thing when you do pageants.
Yeah.
Today's stuff going on, historical stuff. Why do you feel you're the best? And
Yeah.
so there's really things you can kind of pull out in very small things that really compare the two almost to be the same in certain aspects.
Yeah.
And I can say the Navy has actually made my drag better,
Yeah. Oh,
to be honest.
absolutely.
More attention to detail on things, really put in the work too. So it's really interesting that a lot of it's the way people think. And honestly, at the end of the day, I think we all do drag.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether we might be putting on wigs or heels, we might have a costume or an outfit, or our uniform might be that costume
That's
outfit.
it.
Because when I go out front in my uniform, people see me as a sailor, and
That's
but
it.
when it comes, and that's the persona. When I go out in drag, that's my uniform. Then it's so many different characters and hats we wear, and I don't think people realize that sometimes, and like to decharacterize us based off visuals. When at the end of the day, it's somebody under that uniform, it's somebody under that outfit.
That's how you come back to the trolls. You say,
Yeah,
actually, whatever
yeah.
your work outfit is or your outfit that you put on, you're doing drag.
You're doing
You're
drag too.
welcome.
Yeah, not good drag, but you're doing drag.
It's not good. You would not get any tips, but you're participating. Okay.
Yeah,
I
thank you for
love that. Thank
participating.
you. Thank you. I love that. I love that. So, what advice, especially for all these people looking up to you and just loving what you're doing, what advice would you have for people that are wanting to pursue things, maybe even drag, but they're scared of the feedback? They're scared of those trolls. That's what's holding them back.
So I love this question because I still struggle with it. I won't
Sure.
even lie. I've just gotten better at it.
Yeah.
But it's kind of it's such a I've heard this advice so many times, but it really comes down to fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
You can't show you need to show confidence. And you can't react. It's something that learns over time. I think we're all learning it because I still to this day don't even know what I'm doing half the time. I
Yeah.
just say I do and go in there, and then you figure it out as you go. And that's the same thing like with drag. You go in there, and if you're afraid of the feedback, not even let's say trolls, let's just say you don't know how people think about drag because like again, I'm from a small town. Like my parents were not that. I was surprised one parent was okay with it and one wasn't, and it was like
Yeah.
polar opposite now. It's crazy. So you go into that mindset, fake it till you make it. Like if you're not gonna love it, that's okay. I'm just going to do me. If you go in the mindset positively saying, I am who I am, I don't know what I'm doing, but I would love this. And then you go in there and just say, everyone else is gonna love me too. And as much as conceited that may sound, when you go with that mindset, you might surprise yourself that they do.
Yeah.
Then like 9 times out of 10, and another one is closed mouths don't get fed. A lot of times in our lives, so many people are more concerned of other people's insecurities and they do project it on sometimes, and it's not healthy and it's not okay. And I can see how that might bring somebody down. But if sometimes all it takes is just speaking up.
Yeah.
And in my life, everyone asks, like, how did you get there? How did you do this? I said, all I did was ask. When I was on
Yeah.
the ship, I said, can I do drag? They said, yeah. When all these articles started dropping and everything else too, I didn't even know if I could even speak to the public. And I asked, and I didn't just ask. They were like, let us assist someone to help you. You look like you need help. All through asking. That's all it ever takes. And I just put on my cute charm I have, I guess, a little
Yeah.
bit of confidence and said, what happens, happens. And over time, I've been very blessed to grow this confidence. And I think that's just from the beginning, especially drag. If you're going to the drag scene, go in with confidence, go in acting like you know what you're doing. Don't be cocky, especially in the drag scene, don't be cocky. They'll eat you
Yeah.
up.
You might get knocked out
That
if
is
you go
absolutely
in
that's the
cocky.
beauty part.
You'll get a
Yeah.
heel through the eyeball. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. But go in with grace, go in with respect, but go in as like this is me, this is who I am. And when you do that and ask for help, ask how to do things. Don't be afraid of you might get into something that even honestly, I will even share this today. I got negative feedback today. It
Oh.
was yeah, it was I was upset probably
Oh,
way before. Like, this is the first time I
no.
slept, I'm not gonna lie. But it was needed. It's just because, like, the person who it came from is very dear to me, so it always sucks to hear bad feedback. But it was feedback I needed to hear, and it was something that I can take with me and now form as a tool
Yeah,
for the future. But that's just through what I've done. I asked for the feedback, and they're there to support me, and they only did it because they want to see me grow. So, and that's all through confidence. That's all through taking it till you make it.
I love that.
That's asking for help and speaking up.
I love that you said closed mouths don't get fed. I've never heard it worded that way, and that's amazing. I think that can go for so many things, like reaching out for help when you need it, or like you said, if you want to pursue something, go to town, like do it. You only have one life.
Exactly, and that's why I'm still to this day just I pinch myself. I wake up some days, I'm like, even this interview with you, I was like, are they contacting me?
So,
Like, it's
what?
just yeah, it's just so I'm just so blessed by it. I mean, like, one of the things too, I won't lie, I've been very blessed with. I will be on the season 3, The Weakest Link, coming
What?
up this year. My twin and I'm a twin. We both got casted for it. I don't know when. I can't say much or anything about it, but
Sure.
I can say I will be on it. And to this day, it was an experience. I met Jane Lynch. It was incredible. I can't
You
wait for it.
are the weakest link. Goodbye.
Yeah. Well, she technically, well, yeah, yeah. Well, we'll have to see.
Don't
Who
say too
knows?
much. Don't say too much. I don't want you to get in trouble. I love that
Yeah.
so much. That is so amazing. Josh, thank you so much for joining us. It was such a pleasure.
It's honestly, you're amazing. Your smile. I'm
Oh,
looking at you the
thank
whole
you
time
so
like you
much.
radiate so much
Stop.
happiness. I'm over here, I can't
Stop.
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 Yeah, exactly. I'll keep it coming. You're selfish too. I'm so here for. I'll tell you all day long. You're so sweet. Thank you for having me. It's truly a blessing to share this story and give more in-depth details and my experience overall. Everything that I've shared is just my experience, and it's just been a total blessing. Thank you so much.
I love it so much. Keep shining your light. You're changing so many lives. Like I said, even just seeing your feedback and like on social media, it's just been so great. And I'm like, go you. It is amazing. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you later. We're going to stay in touch, okay?
Please do. Please get best friend already.
Done. Besties. I'll send you my birthday invite. All right, I'll see you later, Josh.
You have a good one.
You too. Okay, guys, if you're in the market to buy or sell, I have the perfect company for you. Clark & Co. Realty is located in the Benton, Bryant, Arkansas area, but they're able to serve you no matter where you're located in the state. They've streamlined the process of buying or selling a home to make it so much easier. They have a team of industry experts that make sure you have access from anything you can think of. I'm talking from local home inspectors to painters to gardeners and so much more, just to provide you with the best service possible. They're dedicated to providing the most up-to-date market data in the area. And I think the coolest part is if you go on their website, you can use their easy-to-use fast property search. You can even create a custom market report to see what's active, under contract, and sold in your neighborhood. Their team is made up of caring, knowledgeable professionals that work around the clock to help you with the process of buying and selling your home. So again, if you're in the market to buy or sell, Clark & Co. Realty is definitely the company for you. Tell them Townsend sent you. Let's be honest. I think we could all use somebody to talk to every now and then. Healing Path Counseling in Conway, Arkansas is 100% my go-to when it comes to therapy. Wendy Blackwood has more credentials than letters in the alphabet. She's won awards for her outstanding services and has a whole page of board memberships. Basically, she knows what she's doing. She works hard to help equip you with the tools needed to live your best life. She even offers a variety of services, including, but not limited to, cognitive behavioral therapy, technology-assisted counseling, relationship counseling, and EMDR. Trust me, I know therapy can be intimidating at first, but let me assure you, Wendy does her best to make you comfortable and find the best solutions and plans for you. Trust me, don't wait to make the call. Give Wendy Blackwood at Healing Path Counseling a call today. Get started on the best version of you.